Want a deep thought for the night? Cosmos, Carl Sagan. He says, the cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. That's how he opens the book. Not a very light thought, but famous astronomer, researcher, cosmologist, I guess you could say. And you read a book like this, and there's a tendency to feel small. I always say we're all just dust moving through time day by day. Some people take that negatively. They interpret it as like pointlessness, nihilistic approach to life, but it doesn't have to be that way. Invert, flip it around. Learned helplessness must be avoided at all times, even in thought. So that tendency that most humans have to go towards helplessness, what if you flip it? What if you say, well, if it is true that the only thing that really lasts is the cosmos, the universe, space, time, God, whatever you want to call it, you could also feel freed up that way, because you could say, no matter what happens in your life, you're all headed to the same place. So you might as well, the way I look at it, might as well attempt big things with your life. Might as well keep your life interesting, fascinating at all times, attempting things. I just finished this book by Johnny Carson, or his a biography by his lawyer, and it was a crazy, crazy book. It blew my mind. I kept reading it because he made $450 million, the king of Hollywood, king of talk shows, and but he died right down the street in Cedars-Sinai Hospital, completely alone. Died of emphysema. 0 people. His kids weren't there. No friends. And so I feel like Johnny Carson, and far be it from me to try to interpret and speak about a life that I didn't live, but if you keep in mind that we're all pretty small out here, the cosmos, the universe, nature, that's the big thing. Then I feel like, if you read Johnny Carson's life, he kind of ostracized everybody around him. Maybe, Bushkin, the guy who wrote the book, said he was too arrogant. He lost his way in terms of understanding perspective. Never lose perspective. And so I think you can lose perspective in 2 ways. One, you can lose perspective of getting super arrogant, and I've been guilty of that. And the other is you can lose perspective by becoming too helpless, and I've been guilty of that too. You gotta, there's a word in Spanish, tranquilo. It means like chill out. Gotta chill out a little bit and go, okay, I'm gonna try something big with my life. Something big like Johnny Carson. Like, that's the good thing that I took from that book. Johnny Carson tried big things, and maybe he understood. It's like, hey, better to try. We're all headed to the same place. We're all getting older day by day. We're all dust moving through time, through the cosmos. But maybe he took a little bit too far, and forgot once he succeeded. And let me not speak about a person not here to defend themselves. I don't like to do that, but I'll speak about my own life. So that's the freedom that understanding your place in the universe gives you. And then secondarily, you have to remember, okay, that you don't have to feel this hypertension and fear. We feel that fear when we forget that we're just dust. The ancient saying, from dust we came and dust will return. So let that free you up. At the same time, let it keep life in perspective. Don't be helpless. Don't get too big of a head. And just keep moving through time. So my question for you is, while you're here, while it's your turn, this is your chance in life. This is my chance, right? And we don't want to lose perspective, yet we don't want to attempt too small of things, because might as well try big things. If I told you, look, here's $1,000, you can spend that $1,000 on one meal. You'll eat it now and it'll be gone forever. Or you could spend that $1,000 on investing in something that has a 30% chance of making you, I don't know, a billionaire. I hope you'd spend the $1,000 at those odds, 30%, even though it's not the greatest odds. Hopefully you'd still play the investor role. Try it out. Might as well try, because worst case, you just lose $1,000 that wasn't even yours to start with. That's kind of how life is. It's not even yours to start with. no say over it. I had no biological control of my DNA from my predecessors and ancestors. Boom, born here, given that $1,000, I could spend it on a sure bet, which is what most people do, live in fear. Well, sure bet. Okay, I know that I can control. If I freak out at every moment, I can get this boring life set up for myself, and it has a very high chance of survival. Or you go, go for it. Now, you don't want to play the fool. You don't want to spend, if you only had $1,000 and you want to spend on something that has a 1% chance. But here's the deal. In the modern world, with all the technology available to us, all the knowledge, like I said, this iPhone, spaceship in my hand, the global collective brain you can plug into, internet, YouTube, all this knowledge, you have more than a 30% chance of pulling off something interesting with your life. For each of us, it'll be a little different. Some billionaires, some doctors, some scientists, some engineers, some people that won't get public recognition but will live a great life anyway. So my question to you is, how have you been held back, and what's something interesting that you can set out to make your life at least have a shot at it? At least a shot. There's no guarantees, but at least a shot. Remember that about the cosmos. It's all that was and ever will be, right? So try to fit in. I always say life's like a wheel. If you get outside of that wheel, it has a chance of running you over. But if you jump into it and catch a hold of it and figure out how the world works and the universe works, infuse your mind with knowledge. All these books here, that's what they represent to me. An attempt, only an attempt. I'm just dust, but I can attempt it. What's your attempt? What can you attempt? What can you try? So leave me a comment. I'd love to hear the one thing you could do to give yourself a shot to live a life that while you're here could be interesting. What is it for you? Is it start a new business? Is it sell all your possessions, given to the poor, travel around the world and help the poor and the sick and the dying? Is it run for political office? Is it raise a family? Is it invent something new, some new technology? What is yours? Let me know. Subscribe and leave me a comment, and check in tomorrow. Gonna finish up this Carl Sagan for the book of the day. Make sure you're reading.